Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 260 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit and crochet, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, May the 31st. How can May be gone already? Time is just flying. Anyway, it's a cloudy, overcast day. I've probably got a lot of shadowing happening here. My apologies, but I can't control the weather. So it rained a bit at lunchtime. It's still cloudy, drying up again. It's probably going to rain more later. Who knows? I'm staying in for the rest of the day, so I don't care. So if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for coming by and checking out my channel. I'm so happy to have you come by and visit. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you stick around and come back again next week. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back week after week to see what kind of shenanigans I'm up to. I appreciate you all so much. I truly appreciate each and every one of you so much. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. It helps my little teeny tiny channel, helps it get noticed by the algorithm. Like the video, comment. I love reading your comments. And hit the notification bell if you want to know when I have new videos coming up. So, thanks everyone. So, another day, another dollar. Another week. More knitting done. No crochet this week, all knitting this week. So I have a finished object, I have a new project, and I've got a hibernating whip that has been pulled out of hibernation and I did CPR and I brought it back to life and I'm back to working on it. So, first thing, my finished object, a pair of opal mismatch toe-up, 2 at a time toe-up sort of shorty socks. So these ones are very mismatchy. I've just got to the point now. I initially was taking out the little skeins of yarn from my opal advent calendar from 2 years ago, from 2023. I was taking them out in order and then they got mixed up, so I'm just grabbing 2 random packets. So this was one of the colors. It's a nice autumny color, I think. And this was the second color. So both of these, again, I'm following my toe up 2 at a time sort of shorty socks. I'm using the same skein of opal in this light gray color for all of the toes, heels, and the cuffs on all of them. So what I do is I do the toe, then I do my 55 rounds on the foot, 20 rounds for the gusset increasing, then I do the heel turn and heel flap, and then I work up the leg until I completely run out of the 20-gram skein of yarn. And then when that happens, which doesn't necessarily happen at the same point on each sock, as you can see here, or for each skein, as soon as the main color runs out completely, I switch to the contrast color and I'll continue up the foot or the leg. That's not a foot, Karen. Oh my gosh. I continue up the leg until I have my 25 rounds that I like for the leg, and then I do 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing to finish it off. This one, the 20-gram went a little farther. I got the cuff started in this one and then switched to the cuff, or switch to the contrast color to finish off the cuff. So, another pair, toe up 2 at a time, shorty socks. Sorta shorty socks. Okay. Say that 3 times fast. I can't even say it once. Good grief. So, another pair of socks done. I'm looking forward to having all of these from the advent calendar finished. My plan is to get them all done before 2025 is over. We'll see if it happens, but that's my goal. Finish them all this year. I don't know how, I think I've got 6 or 8 skeins of yarn left. my new cast on in this little project bag I made for myself a while back. And no surprise for any... Oops, all my stitch markers just fell out. No surprise for anybody. Another pair of toe up, two at a time sort of shorty socks. These ones are a little bit, well, they both have red in them. That's about as close as they are to similar. So I've started another pair. So again, the toes done in this light gray main color, or contrast color. And I'm about 20 or 21. Exactly 20 rounds done on the foot in the two main colors. So those are coming along nicely. Happy with the progress on those, and hope to get them done fairly quickly, but we shall see, because my attention has been focusing more on my languishing whip. It was a hibernating whip. I'll have to double check. I don't think I had worked on this one. I know I haven't worked on it yet in 2025. May is done at the end of today. So I picked this up 3 days ago. So I worked on it Thursday, Friday, and a little bit this morning. I don't think I had worked on it since probably the end of November. Probably not, because then Advent knitting started and that was it. So it has been languishing. I don't think I've touched it since I came back from our Thanksgiving break. But that is my mitered square project. Now, I had initially I'm following the pattern by Kemper Ray for the mitered square blanket. And so far I have been using all of my yarns that have been coming in from my Row 1 Mini subscription. And holding each of the fingering weight yarns double to make a DK weight. So it's so beautifully squishy. I love it so much. So I have ends to weave in. I like to weave in the ends at the end of each row. So when I have it on one row here, I have these two ends hanging around. I like to wait until I have the next row done so that I have the ends in the middle of 4 squares. Then I go back. Typically I go back after the end of each row and weave in a bunch of ends. I had done a few already here. So there's just these ones on the top row that will be tucked in once I get the next row done. But I have a bunch of ends to weave in. So I might get onto that this evening, but here's where I am at so far, and then I want to talk about this project a little bit more. So here's what I have so far. So I have 3 complete rows. So this is like my Joseph's coat of many colors. It's going to be loud, it's going to be squishy, it's going to be amazing. So where the markers are on these 5 squares, the 3 on this row and the blue and the brownie colored one on this row, those are the ones I've added this week. So I've added 5 squares. They're different colored markers because I'm keeping track. So at the end of the day, Thursday, I had used, each square uses roughly 8 of the 10 grams on my my Row 1 Mini yarn 10 gram thingy. They're close to 11 grams each one. They're 10.5 to 11.1 or so. And it uses roughly 8 grams per square with my tension, my gauge, all that good stuff. So, oh hey, what's that? Oh, I didn't even tie that one off. Oops. I just finished this square before I started filming. So, but what I do is, so for the blue markers, I finished those 3 squares on Thursday. So I marked down 24 grams out of my stash. Friday I did this one. We were busy all day Friday. I didn't get much done Friday. And I started this one Friday evening, got a few rows done, and then I finished it off this morning. So 3 rows are complete. Now initially I was going to do this into a cardigan, and I've decided that I don't want to think that hard how to turn this into a cardigan. And I had originally had enough squares done so that it went around my hide, around my backside. So it was enough that it went all the way around. But now I've decided what I want to do with this project is I want to turn it into a, is it ruana? Am I pronouncing that right? Anyway, one of those cape type, shawl type sweater things that is just like this big rectangle on your back, and then it separates to go over your shoulders and then down the front. It's open on the sides, kind of like a poncho, but not. It's not no poncho. Yeah, sort of like a poncho, but it's open at the front. So now that I have these 3 rows complete, I put it on like so to see if that number of squares is long enough for the length I want it when it's finished. And I want it to cover my butt. I want this to be like a nice warm shawl, blanket kind of thing when it's done. So I've decided what I need to do is, for the length I have it, for a lot of people this is probably blanket size, but you have to remember I'm not a dainty girl. I'm about 5'6" and I'm not dainty. So I want and I'm long in the torso. I'm shorter in the leg from the hip down versus the hip up. So I'm long in the torso. So I want this long enough to give me good coverage over the back, cover my butt, cover the front of me. So I've decided what I need to do then is add 2 more squares lengthwise. And then it'll be long enough that I'll be happy with it. So then I'll decide, I think I need it to be at least 3 more, maybe 4 more to be wide enough. Because like I say, I want this, it probably might not be something I wear outside a lot, but it'll be something that I'm going to be snuggling underneath when we're watching TV. I probably will wear it outside quite a bit too. But I figure I need it to be another 3 more, at least 2, maybe 3 more. I'll do 2 more rows for sure and decide if that's wide enough to go from the top of my neck across. And then I think what I might do is I might just do 1 panel down the back and then have the back middle piece be a little bit, just the half the length, and then I'll go the full length once I get onto this side so that it's not just going into a V at the back of my neck, because then it gives the wonky collar. It does that wonky thing around the neck. So I think what I might do is do one that's only half the length to go from the back of my neck down to my bottom. And then when I get started back on this side, I'll do the one half row down the middle of the back, and then I'll go back to doing the full number of squares to do the other side. Does that make sense? In my head, this makes sense. And then what I probably am going to do once it's completely done is I'm probably going to take a skein of bare yarn, held double. I might do a contrast, like a bare one alternate color, and then do an I-cord trim all the way around, which is probably going to be about 3 miles worth, because this is going to be a large thing once it's done. So I've been hooked on doing that one the last few days. You see I did 5 squares in the last couple days. I plan on picking it up and getting back to that today. And like I say, right now I'm working my way through my Row 1 mini subscription packets. I am still using up yarn from May 2024. So I have a year's worth of yarn to use. Although there are, I think 3 months or maybe 4 months out of the year where it's an 80, all of these yarns are 75-25. And a few of the months have been an 80-20 mix. And I started using one of those, and the square, it's, when I hold them double, the squares are coming out bigger. Just because it's a plumper yarn, being the 80-20 versus 75-25. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put aside all the 80-20 yarn. So I think that, like I say, I think there's 4. 3 for sure. I think the 4th one might be 85-15. I think was one of them. So I want to use those for something different. So that'll be 300 or 400 grams of yarn. I might do some other kind of scrappy type project with that, using a whole bunch of these little 10-gram balls of yarn. I might do a cowl. I might do a granny stripe something. I'd like to do a large granny stripe. Well, not granny, let's guess granny stripe, but like the half granny. Just do a large granny triangle. I think that might be nice, holding 1 skein of Bear and 1 skein of the 80-20s. That might be what I do with that. I haven't decided. I've put those 4 skeins of yarn aside, or packets of yarn aside. So then I have the other 8. Yeah, I've got another 8. The last one is on the way now. So I have a bunch of yarn left to use. So I'm going to continue using all of those Row 1 minis, the 75-20s, to keep adding squares onto my Coziest Memory ruana. Someone correct me if I'm saying that completely wrong. It's quite possible I'm saying it completely wrong. And I appreciate everyone who told me what on earth that shape and that item was called. I don't think I ever knew it had a name. So I just knew the style that I wanted. And so that I'm planning on working on a fair bit more this week. So probably this week coming up, I'll only be working on the 2 projects. The mismatch opal Advent yarn socks and my Coziest Memory project. I think I'll probably I might add more of the extra squares on now, and then when I have the 3 rows completely done, then I might start tucking in the tails. Maybe I should sit down, just shut up and sit down and do a few of those, tuck in some of those tails now, so it just doesn't get quite as overwhelming when I get to that point. Stay tuned, see what I've done. I still haven't got any farther with my project idea that I wanted to catch up on tucking in all of my ends on all of my other projects. I come up with all kinds of ideas I want to do and not the motivation to do them. Anyone else have that trouble? Probably. It's not, I hope it's not just me. Too many ideas, not enough time or gumption. And the other thing I want to do is I have all of those little 2.5 to 3-ish little leftover blurps from all of my Row 1 yarns that have already gone into this project. Oh, there's sirens coming. Ambulance. Oh, yeah, ambulance coming. No, they turned before they got going past our place. Anywho, back to my little snippets that I have left. So I have a bunch of those little partial, the leftovers from the 10-gram Row 1 minis. So what I'm thinking I might do is a pair of Scrappy, or a few pair of Scrappy socks. So what I'll do is I'll do them 2 at a time, toe up sort of shorty. No surprises there, guys. And I'll do the toes in Bear. And then since the yarn is still sitting there, because what I do with the Row 1 minis, they're kind of like in a little loose cake kind of thing, and it's easy to take one strand from the middle, one strand from the outside, and that's what I've been doing all the time with the mitered squares. Is I'm taking one strand from the middle, one strand from the outside, knitting them together to make a DK weight. So I have the two ends that are loose, so what I'll do is I'll use one end for one sock, the other end for the other sock, and then I'll just knit two at a time until I run out of that yarn. Then I'll just add in the next one and the next one and so on until the socks are done. And then I'll wait till I get to the cuff, and I might do the whole cuff in bare, or I might do just the little last 2 or 3 rounds in bare. I'll decide that once I get there. So that's the plan. Initially I was thinking I would do them up into a magic 8 ball, like a magic knot ball. I probably am going to keep calling that a magic 8 ball of yarn now, just because that's funny. But I was thinking of doing that and then holding them double with a bare yarn to make some kind of scrappy, either blanket or shawl or something, or a sweater. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll do that right now or if I'm going to hold off and make the scrappy socks. I'll make at least one. I want to try doing one pair of scrappy socks just to see how it works and how many rows on the pair of socks I can get done with each of the little 10 gram leftovers from the 10 grams that have gone into my mitered squares. That's the plan. Stay tuned next week. I could have a completely different plan. Who knows? Kind of like I see a squirrel and it's like, gotta go. I'm so easily sidetracked and distracted, it's ridiculous. But anyway, so this week has been good. It's been busy, but not near as busy as the last couple weeks have been. The stress levels have gone down a bit, although there's still a few stressful things ongoing, which I'm hoping will resolve in the next week to maximum 2 weeks. Hopefully this next week that uncertainty is going to settle. I'll explain all once everything is settled. It's nothing, well, kind of major, but nothing too crazy. But I'll explain more in another video. So that's still kind of ongoing, although the worst of the stress is over now. It's more just like the waiting and uncertainty part right now. This will all make more sense when I explain it in more detail in another video. I don't want to say anything more until everything's all settled and done. So yesterday we went to visit a woman from our church that was in the hospital. Then we went to do some banking and out to a discount grocery store. Got a whole bunch of junk food and treats and things like that. Like we both need like a hole in the head. So we got that. And we were going to go and just hang out in the park. I was going to do some knitting. Hubby was going to just listen to an audiobook or stare off into space or whatever. It started raining, so that ruined that plan, or that part of the plan. Then we went to visit the husband of the woman in the hospital just to make sure everything was okay with him, as he had been alone since the day before, so we just wanted to check in and make sure all was good. And then we just came home and chilled out. We did a Riff Tracks double feature. That's always hilarious. If you've never watched Riff Tracks, you should give them a try. They are funny. They take usually a bad, like a B movie kind of thing. They're usually older ones from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's usually a cheesy movie. And then they do a commentary over top of the movie, and it's usually hilarious. Just their snide comments and things like that are hilarious. I love these guys. So we've watched tons of their videos over the years. So we'll do a double feature. First we'll watch the original movie, then we'll watch the Riff Tracks version of it. If you've never watched them, they're worth looking into. They're very good. A lot of their stuff is on YouTube. Some of their stuff is on their channel. And that's like not a subscription, that's a pay to see them, but there's a lot on YouTube as well. And then their older version was Mystery Science Theater 3000. And those, they have like these little intermission breaks that we don't enjoy as much. they've kind of phased out of doing that style of video, and now they just have the snarky, goofy comments over top of the movie. They're very good. Tonight we're probably going to watch a couple movies. Hubby's at work getting a few things ready for church tomorrow morning. Then we're going to watch, I forget which movie he picked. We bought a book. It's 1,001 movies that everyone should watch. And so we're going to work our way through this entire thing. Hubby worked it out. If we watch 3 movies a week, we'll finish the book in 6 years. So we've seen a lot of the movies already, especially the more modern ones. But right now we're still watching a lot of the older ones. We're still in a lot of the silent movies, or the movies from like 1919, 1920, 21. Those are like the old ones that are still silent films. So the ones we've watched of those have been fantastic. So we're going to watch one of those movies tonight, and then usually on Saturday nights, excuse me, we watch what we call it franchise night. So we'll work through a whole movie franchise, and starting tonight we're going to watch we're going to start with the first one, but we're going to watch the franchise, the Despicable Me movies. We've seen the first 2 before. I don't think we've seen the 2 newest ones. Maybe we've seen the 3rd one. We've not seen the 4th one at all. So we'll watch the Despicable Me and Minions movies. So we've seen Despicable Me. I've seen that 2 or 3 times. Ooh, I love that movie. So we're going to watch that one tonight. Plus one movie we're going to watch this afternoon. One of the movies from the 1001 book. I forget which one. Hubby picked one out. There's about an hour and 40 minutes. So we'll watch that this afternoon. Then we'll have supper, and then we'll watch Despicable Me. So lots of knitting time for Karen. And other than that, I'm waiting until tomorrow so I can get back into Audible books from Hoopla. My library only allows 4 books a month, so I listened to 4 books the first week of May, so I had to wait 3 weeks before I could get into the next ones. And it's a series of books about this female FBI agent who, let's see the author's name, Molly Black, I think. Anyway, it's the series with this female FBI agent who works cold cases. And so her sister is kidnapped, and she's being held hostage with 11 other women. And the person who kidnapped her wants this FBI agent to solve these different crimes for him. They're typically crimes that someone else is getting credit using his style or his they're motivated by the way he does the murders, so that he's getting blamed for it, but he doesn't want someone else to get credit. He doesn't want, let me rephrase that. He does not want to be given credit for somebody else's work, basically. So he has this FBI agent solving these cold cases to get the blame put on the proper person, not on the person who's done the kidnapping. And if she gets it right, he releases one of the hostages. So there's a whole series of, there's 12 of them kidnapped. So there's actually 17 books in the series. There's a few other ones where it's the same character but different, something different. I haven't read any of those yet. So I've read the first 4 now. I need the beginning of June. I need to read the next 4. So I'm eagerly awaiting for tomorrow afternoon after we get home from church, so I can get the book number 5, get that one going and get back to reading. So, and then once I've listened to the 4 and I can't use Hoopla anymore, then I will find something else to read. But they've been really fantastic books. They're quite short. The audiobooks are only about between 5 and 7 hours. So if I'm having a real lazy day, I will listen to an entire book. Alrighty, I got cut off. My video, apparently I talked too long and it automatically stopped. I don't know where I left off. I think I was talking about having a lazy day and just spending 5 hours listening to an entire audiobook and knitting. I think that's what I was talking about. But anyway, I'm eager tomorrow or Monday to get back into listening to books. So, on that note, since I lost my train of thought completely when the video stopped on me, I will let you go, and I will see you guys again in a week. Actually, this week coming up, I'm going to try to get my stash down video done. I'm going to do a 2-for-1 deal because I didn't get my April one done at all. Still haven't done it. So I'm going to do episode 4 and 5, April and May, I'm just going to do that as one video and get that posted fairly soon. That's the plan, at least. And that's about it. I really am going to shut up this time. And I will see you guys again very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye.